If you're supporting a child who loves to dump toys, spin wheels, drop objects, or line things up, things we talked about in last week's episode, how do you help them move toward functional play without turning it into a power struggle? How do you expand their skills without taking away what they love? Today, we're going to talk about the bridge from exploratory play to functional play and how to support that shift gently, respectfully, and without forcing it. Because the goal isn't to rush development, it's to support it. I'm Tara Phillips, and this is the Autism Little Learners podcast, where I share simple, neuro-affirming tools to support young autistic children with compassion and confidence. In the last episode, we talked about how exploratory play is not a problem to fix. It's a stage. It's sensory learning, it's neurological development, it's regulation. And for many autistic children, the stage lasts longer than it does for neurotypical children. And it doesn't mean that they're stuck. It just means their nervous system is gathering information at a different place. But here's where we need nuance. Just because exploratory play is valid and important, it doesn't mean we leave it there forever. Play development moves in layers, and functional play opens the door to new learning, language, sequencing, cognitive flexibility, and eventually pretend play. So the question becomes, how do we move from exploratory play to functional play in a way that feels safe and natural, not rushed, not forced, not compliance-driven? Functional play is when a child uses a toy in the way it's designed to be used. One-step functional play might look like pushing a car across the floor, putting people in the bus, pressing a button to make music, putting a ball down a ramp, stacking blocks. Multi-step functional play adds layers, putting the people in the bus and then pushing the bus, putting the car on the ramp, sending it down, crashing it, feeding the doll, wiping the mouth, putting it to bed. Functional play is more structured than exploratory play. It requires understanding object purpose, motor planning, sometimes imitation, sequencing, attention to another person. And that's exactly why we can't jump there too quickly. The bridge between exploratory and functional play is often that cause and effect. So instead of dumping objects randomly, the child may notice, if I do this, something happens. And that shift is really powerful. For example, a child who loves dropping objects might light up when they see a tot tube, because now there's a predictable path for the drop. They still get the sound, the motion, the visual tracking, but now there's structure. Or a child who bangs objects might begin pressing buttons on a pop-up toy, and they're still seeking sensory input, but now their action has a specific outcome. So that's not eliminating exploratory play, it's shaping it. Let's talk honestly for a moment. It can be tempting to move quickly into teaching mode. You might think, they're 3. They should be pushing the car. They need to imitate. We need to work on functional play goals. And so we jump in. We hand over hand guide. We remove the sensory activity. But what often happens? The child pulls away. They get frustrated. They lose interest. Maybe they have a stress response. Because from their perspective, we just interrupted something predictable and regulating, something they really liked and they are familiar with. And when we rush the shift, we unintentionally create stress. And stress stops learning. Functional play grows from regulation and connection, not from that pressure. If you remember nothing else from this episode, remember this. Regulate first, connect second, expand third. Now, when we're talking about that regulation piece, if a child's deeply engaged in exploratory play, that might be meeting a sensory need. Maybe they're seeking movement, auditory input, seeking deep pressure, calming their nervous system. Don't interrupt that immediately. The second part is connect. Get down on their level. Imitate their action first. If they're dumping, dump beside them. We talked about this before. If they're spinning, spin beside them. If they're lining up, line up beside them. Connection builds trust, and trust makes expansion possible. Now, when we talk expansion, that's where we add in that one small variation, not 5, just 1. Okay, here's a scenario. Many children in exploratory play love putting objects in containers and taking them out or dumping them out. And here is a beautiful bridge activity. You can expand by labeling objects as they go in, pausing before giving the next one, adding open and close or in and out, turning it into a simple cause and effect box. Eventually, that put in action becomes putting people in the bus, putting food in the microwave, putting a block on the tower. It's the same motor pattern, just a new context. You know a child is ready to expand their play when you see them maybe referencing you during play when you're modeling some of these things, pausing after an action, watching your demonstration, smiling during shared moments when you're demonstrating, and attempting imitation. When those signs appear, it's your invitation. Now you can model clear one-step action, pushing the car, pressing the button, model once, pause, wait. And here's something important. If they don't imitate, don't escalate the demand. Try again another time. Learning happens through exposure and repetition, not pressure. The more one-step actions the child learns, the easier it is to combine them later. So if they know how to put people in a bus, just that on its own. If they know how to push a car or a bus, on its own. If they know how to take the people out of the bus, that just by itself. Then you can start to combine those. That's when the multi-step play naturally emerges. You don't have to teach it as one big leap. You have built the small bricks, and that's how pretend play eventually grows too. Functional play should never feel like drill work, but we want to use exclamatory sounds like boom, beep, beep, uh-oh, predictable routines. Ready, set, go. Dramatic pauses, silly crashes, over-the-top excitement. The emotional tone matters. If play feels like pressure, we've lost the foundation. If play feels joyful, the brain stays open. I want to talk a little bit about goals and data. Yes, we can write goals for increasing the number of one-step functional play actions. Yes, we can track progress. But remember, the purpose of these goals is to guide exposure, not to create performance anxiety. When we approach this through connection rather than compliance, children expand more sustainably and we preserve the relationship. Exploratory play builds sensory foundations. Functional play builds understanding of object use. Multi-step play builds sequencing. Pretend play builds symbolic thinking. We can't skip these layers. We can't rush neurological development. But when we create bridges, one small bridge at a time, that's where the magic happens. If you're supporting a child who is still primarily in exploratory play, you're not behind. They're not behind. You're at the beginning of something foundational. Instead of asking, how do I make them stop? Try asking, what tiny expansion could I offer today? Not 5 new expectations, not a full curriculum shift, just one small addition. That's how we move from exploratory play to functional play without forcing it, without taking away regulation, and without losing the joy. Thank you for spending this time with me. You're doing important work, and the small supports you put into place matter. Keep leading with connection, and I'll talk to you again next week.